But I look forward to giving you guys lots of great information. Has anybody noticed that this uncertainty that we are experiencing seems to be unconscious? Anybody notice that? This is going to be pretty a highly engaging class. So I'm going to have you guys, you can either unmute your mic and talk throughout the class, or you can type in the chat. So if you don't have the chat open, you can go ahead and open the chat to see people's different answers. Yeah, and so I want to just let you know there's a couple case studies, and I'm going to be asking for your information or your thoughts on things. And everybody's right and nobody's wrong. So anything that you participate and put in here is just food for thought. It's just helping us create good ideas about how to get out of this uncertainty. And so I'm a master coach, master executive coach and personal coach. And I work with people both personally and in the executive field, whether it is any level leader, pretty much learning new skills and dealing with teams. I help this is kind of my sweet spot, all the neuroscience. I really help people rewire their brains so that they can overcome obstacles like this prolonged uncertainty. And so, Elbrook, let's see, I don't know, is your first name, I don't know what your first name is, Elbrook19, but I want to call you by your name. So various things I feel uncertain about. Oh, Lee, okay, hey Lee. Thanks for writing that. So yeah, this uncertainty that we're experiencing, has anybody noticed it affecting their neighbors, their relatives, people that you work with in different ways? What's a way that you guys have seen the uncertainty that we're in affect you or others? Anybody? What's a way that you feel that this uncertainty that we're in has affected you or other people? Kind of taking a bird's eye view. People are tentative. Everyone is still exhibiting some short tempers. Yeah, I would highly agree with that. Some family members are just deciding to ignore it. I agree. They don't care for it. I agree. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. Pushing something under the rug actually starts to feed the anxiety, so it will grow. The uncertainty creates the anxiety, so it'll grow. So ignoring it won't make it go away. That's one thing you need to know. This uncertainty in the brain equals danger. And if your brain doesn't know what's around the corner, it can't keep you out of harm's way. And when uncertainty is questioned, your brain, in neuroscience, one of the ways we talk about the brain is you become more of a lizard brain. And it starts to go haywire. So it starts to change its colors. It changes its attitude. Yeah, it won't happen to me attitude. Yeah, that's the lizard brain. That's definitely the lizard brain that we're in. You can Google that. And it instantly starts to give you a kick in the pants to try to attempt you to be safe or to kind of spur some kind of action. It just won't happen to me attitude. That's right. We have that a lot with different people. It's not affecting me, different things like that. And so please feel free as we go through the course today to use the chat and type in some answers. Whatever you're feeling, everything is right and nothing is wrong. So I want to tell you the schedule for today. This class is 45 minutes, but we're probably going to end around 12:50, 12:55 at the very latest to give you 5 minutes to check out. Tomorrow, there will be a YouTube recording that is uploaded so that you can see that and review it, as well as on the website that you went to sign up on this, there will be slides that you can go download and you can see the slides. So I know people sometimes screen capture slides, but I'll provide those for you with all the research and the research things like the people underneath for the research. So I just want you to know that you can just super listen if you feel that's the best that you want to do. You can just listen to this and you can feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Now know that I'm going to try, because I've done a lot of these, I'm going to try to hold the questions till the end so that we can make sure we get through the material and I can give all the material to you. And then I'll take questions. So if you have a piece of paper, just jot them down and try to ask at the end. Also, I invite and really enjoy, especially during this time of COVID still, any kind of phone calls or emails afterwards. I really love that. So I love to get to know the people who are listening and seeing if I can help you and answer any questions. And so please feel free to, my email is right on here. It's shell@system2.com. So you can take that down. Yeah, and anything that I can do to help will help you overcome the uncertainty, because I'm a coach and I deal with this every day with my clients. I'd be happy to do. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is, I'm the founder of the master's course, and this company is an executive and organizational development firm. The website is themasterscourse.com. So you can go there and get lots more information, and that's where you're going to find the slides and the recording tomorrow, and I'll send you an email as to that. So we're talking about uncertainty today. Uncertainty can make you feel lost. It can make you say, like, I never want to do this, I can't do it. It gives you a lot of like kind of brain fog, make you feel depressed, anxious, out of energy. So if you notice you need to take a nap, you're tired, but then in the middle of the night you wake up, all of this is due to a long-term uncertainty. And stress the stress is triggered by this anxiety, which is uncertainty. Okay. So I'll just give you my background. I like to let you know where I've studied. I am a virtual first responder at Harvard Medical School, the teaching hospital. I work with a couple clients in coaching at the Mayo Clinic. I do a lot of programs for the U.S. Forest Service and NBC 9 News and 9 Health. I've worked with Holland and Hart. I worked with a lot of law firms, and I help people overcome stress for trial prep, family law, different things like that. So one of the firms I work for is Holland and Hart. The Bureau of Prisons, I work with all the doctors and nurses there. Some of the Olympic team, helping them create that possibility mindset. FEMA, I love working with them. I just got a new contract with them today to help them with neural-based brain wellness program. And I'm a national speaker. So that's a little bit about me. Let's get right down to it. There are 4 things that we're going to talk about today. One is uncertainty in the brain, how the brain reacts to uncertainty at a long term. And what I'm doing is I'm putting this as exactly where we are. We're so many months into COVID, this pandemic, and I am addressing this to where we are right today. We're gonna do a case study, and I'm gonna have you type in the chat, or you can unmute your microphone and talk to me about what you think in this case study, uncertainty at work. And I'm gonna put up 2 different people, and we're gonna talk about how uncertainty could be affecting them. And then I'm going to give you interventions to help. Okay. Then from there, I really want to take you to how you can move uncertainty into possibility. Uncertainty creates a lot of pent up energy inside you. It drains you. And I want to take that and teach you how to convert it into a possibility mindset. And that's what I do for my clients. It works. I do it myself. And it really helps you get that energy and harness who you are back in this long-term uncertainty in what we're going through and on this long-term stress. So that is our agenda for today. At the end, I'm going to do a review. There will be a summary of all of what we go over, and I will go real slow when we go over the summary. Okay, when nothing is sure, everything is possible. And this is more of a wisdom statement. When nothing is sure, everything is possible. In fact, when we think we're sure, that's when you're not open to possibility. And so this is where we're starting from. This is the thesis to this presentation. I'm going to talk about uncertainty in the brain and how uncertainty affects the brain. Now, I want you to know that in as little as 2 weeks, the brain can be hardwired into a new direction. So if you're losing sleep and having insomnia for a period of 2 weeks, that's something where we want to watch, and we want to start to do some research and education around that. Because when uncertainty causes changes in the brain, these tend to wire and hardwire. So it's going to be harder to get out of that, and it leads into more of an anxiety, which slips into a depression. In a clinical depression, sometimes we need a therapist to help us get out of that. It's not easy to get out, or a coach. So this is why at this point I wanted to do a talk on uncertainty in the brain and see how this is affecting you and your family and the people at work, and giving you some tools to get out of this. Okay. Neuroscience shows that people follow a leader. And this isn't something that we don't already know. In my family, my kids follow me as a leader, okay, because I'm the strong authoritarian figure, as also I'm the empathetic and compassionate one in the household. So my kids will follow me. It doesn't matter what age they are, they're going to follow me. In the military, they're going to follow a leader. In a business, they're going to follow a leader. So this is something. And what this does in the brain is it's activating mirror circuitry in others. So when there's a leader who is calm and stable, or there's a leader who is anxious and nervous, your body is going to wire, the mirror circuitry in your brain is going to wire to what they're doing, and you're going to dictate or duplicate what they're doing. So there's neuroscience behind this and why this happens. Write down questions if you have as we go. I wanted to explain to you that ambiguity, and that's where in the state that we're in, creates a lot more anxiety than actually taking a risk. And what you've seen, if you're like me, I have seen a lot of my friends and neighbors and workmates take huge risks in this time of COVID and this racial injustice area, even with the election coming up. I have friends that want to move to Canada. They want to just go somewhere else. So I'm seeing people move. The real estate market is booming because there's so much ambiguity right now. There's so much uncertainty. We're actually more averse to ambiguity than we are to taking a risk. And you're seeing people take a lot of risks. Anybody agree with that? Like, when anybody notice people in their family, people, workmates, neighbors taking big risks? Go ahead and you can type in the chat if you notice, like, what are some of the risks that you're taking? I know people moving across country to a house sight unseen, buying an RV and selling their house and living in an RV. These are things that my friends have done. What types of things, risks have you seen people actually take? Anybody? That you feel would be risk oriented? You can type in the chat if you know some things. Okay. Some others and others go exact opposite, or some are frozen in their life. Yeah, that's another one, being frozen. And we'll talk about that in another slide or two. Okay, so you're more likely to take a risk. Your brain wants to do that. So uncertainty activates both the reward center, like the dopamine release, and the risk center, the cortisol release. So risk assessment has to be figured out in the brain. Yeah, a 6-month mortgage holiday. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, that's definitely a risk. So the risk assessment has to be rewarded, it has to be figured out. The brain has to figure out what the risk is and what the reward is in any situation, because your brain is wired for survival. It actually needs to actually keep you safe, and it has to figure out, is it better to take a risk or is it better to do nothing? And you're going to see a lot of people doing both of these, or they'll be on the fence on what they should be doing. The brain wants to know, is there a reward or not? And I want you to know that this takes a lot of cognitive resources that you don't know is either happening. You don't even know this is happening, and it makes you tired. I just got off the phone with somebody and they just got it from a 2-hour nap. I'm glad we can do this during COVID. Okay, but the brain not knowing what's going to happen, and it needs to know the risk and the reward, constantly is taking these resources. When we experience uncertainty, the brain stays in a no decision state and does not act. Okay, it constantly is in that state, and it can be confused with, you might be experiencing feeling lost, a little bit anxious, burnout. Okay, this happens to almost everybody now. There's periods of burnout where you're going 3 or 4 days and then you feel like you are really tired. You feel really good for a week and then you're really tired. What this is doing is it's wiring a conditioning which is biasing your attention. And by the way, the next talk I'm giving next month is on cognitive bias. But it's biasing your attention towards looking for threats, and you're being more threat averse, meaning you're scanning more often and you're looking for threats more often. This is leading to a depression and also a difficulty in imaging a good future. Now, the American Psychological Association had come out with a statistic that this is in history, this is more people in the history of the United States have found that they feel lower than they ever have in the history of their life. They've never felt so down and depressed in their life. I know that the stock market is back up, but it's just the level of uncertainty in the no decision state that we're staying in is making us have a difficulty imaging what our future could be like, what it could be like next, in 3 months, in 1 year. It's very difficult to get there because the brain is blocking it out. It's biasing our attention towards threats, okay? So the life force energy that we have when we wake up, when we feel vital and energetic and positive and enthusiastic, being used and borrowed to update information when information is not known, like what's going to happen next. I'm not sure if this is really going to work. Even if you got good news, it might be good news for a day, and you might not be able to hold on to it. Like a week later, you might think, well, that might not be good news, or it might not work out. So we're constantly kind of going back into that old state. So this is showing you that the brain has rewired to actually understand that threats are more possible than a positive future at this point. So it's making us feel that things are more impossible and there's a burnout. And there's a difference between these. Impossible and burnout, some of them feel that they all have these in common. They have no energy. You're going to have no energy. Your circuits are kind of blown. You need recharging. And it's common that you need recharging often. Like one day a week, you almost need off, or you need to take so many hours a day off. You don't know which way to go. There's a lot of indecision, okay? Competing forces for your energy, and it can leave you feeling that something can't be done, that you can't get out of it, okay? Even though you can get out of it one day, the next day it makes you feel like you can't get out of it. This is very common. It's borrowing our life force energy, the energy that we use to rejuvenate our body, to sleep through the night. All this uncertainty is borrowing that and constantly in a loop of trying to figure out the risks and the rewards and when it's going to actually be over, okay? So this is uncertainty at work. We'll talk about this. Now I'm going to give you a case study of a past client of mine. I've changed the name and I've changed the circumstances just a little bit, but this is where I would really appreciate your engagement here. And so typing in that group chat, that'd be great. So this study, I've changed the name. Her name is Christine. Okay. And here's Christine. She is a team lead and she is a developer. Okay. She's a high performer. She's very detail oriented, loves doing a really good job. And she's a hard worker. She's authentic. She really wants to do a good job and she wants to do the best she can because she hired me as a coach to help her do a better job at serving others. And she wanted to know what she could do better. She's very easily triggered and she's very spiritual. This is a little bit about her. Now, how do you think, just brainstorm, and nothing is wrong. How do you think uncertainty is going to affect her? How do you think uncertainty would affect her? She's a team lead and a developer. So she's a very structured mindset. She's really good at what she does. Okay. And what do you think is going to be something that would get her down? How's this uncertainty affecting her? Making it hard to lead. Uncertainty would cause her to lose direction. Yes. She feels not worth it. She definitely feels not worth anything. That's absolutely true. Her self-esteem is really low. Self-esteem is really low. Okay. She's triggered a lot by her boss. One thing is she's triggered a lot by her boss. Okay. She doesn't like to be told what to do. So she's triggered a lot by her boss. She's going to be pulled into too many directions and wants to please everyone. That's true. That's true. And she does. She really wants to work hard for everybody else and give her all. And she wants recognition. And so that uncertainty is making her feel less self-confident, more easily, she's already easily triggered, more triggered, and unaware of when she's being triggered. Whoa, she's definitely not getting the direction she wants or needs. Definitely, Tiffany, you nailed that right on the head. She's a hard worker and wants to put all of her energy into something. In fact, she wants to escape this uncertainty and put more of her energy into her work, but feels that she can't. Now watch this. Here's her boss, meet Keith, Generation X, okay, introvert. He's very successful. He oversees 4 teams, which is approximately 120 people. Now get into his head. He's very focused. He changes his mind easily. And he's rigid. He wants it to be done his way, but he changes his mind all the time. Okay, so now if you look at Christine, she's triggered easily. She needs direction, okay? He changes his mind all the time. How do you think this is gonna work? This is a pretty typical situation, I think. Now the uncertainty is gonna affect Keith. How's it gonna affect, I couldn't work for him, Ali. Yeah, no, she's trying to figure out, my client came to me and one of the first things she said is she might want to quit. She might want to look for another job. Okay, so that was on the table. We looked at all the options. Uncertainty brings on more rigidity. Okay, yeah, so he is going to be going, he's going to be pressing more for structure. That's right. Because when you're stressed, you go back to your default and you're not that adaptable in general. Okay, only when you're relaxed are you adaptable. Okay, she would be a thing. I'm not sure what that means from Gary, but so now he is triggering her at work, and he's coming in late. He's not. He's changing his mind all the time. One meeting to the next, he's changing his mind. He's super focused, okay? And he wants it to be done her way, and he's really hard to please. This is how she's perceiving him. Now, we did a feedback 360, and he says she's hard to please. He says that she's hard to please, and he's giving her a lot of opportunity for growth, but she's not actually taking it, and she's not stepping up to the plate. She would be thinking, what's the point? Yeah, that's true. So can you see how this uncertainty would affect us at work? Can you see this, how this is going to affect us? I don't know. What I want you to do is, as people type comments, just notice these things if they're happening to you or other people. And I want to get your brain working as to options that we could do as we go through this. Okay. Now, many struggles organizations face exist simply because their leaders are playing with a finite mindset in an infinite game, meaning they only have one way of being and they can't adapt to other things. And when we're in this level of uncertainty, remember, people follow a leader. So his anxiety, Keith's anxiety, is going to come across and affect Christine in a big way because she's a people pleaser. Okay, so if the boss or the team lead or even anybody on the team can start to think in an infinite mindset or a possibility mindset, it helps lead the whole team. So this is where we want to get to. And if you haven't heard of Simon Sinek, he has one of the most watched TED Talks on YouTube. So you can type Simon Sinek in and look at his TED Talk. So here are some interventions for uncertainty. And I want to make sure that we go through this kind of slow, but I'm going to use another case study here. Okay. This is Cheryl, another client of mine. She's an attorney, and I help her with stress and managing some of her law clients, family law clients. Okay. She has 3 kids. Visualize this. She has 3 kids. She's around 36 years old, 3 kids, 3, 5, and 7, very young. She's a new partner at this big law firm, and her numbers are down. Because of COVID, there's a lot of numbers down, and less people are paying, okay? She's in a very high stress job, which is family law, and she's finding work-life balance is out of balance because she has 3 kids and there is some family conflict. Now, I wanna ask you how uncertainty affects her. How does uncertainty affect her and her clients? If she's stressed all the time, how is that gonna affect her family law or divorce clients? What do you guys think? Not thinking straight, maybe not give her full attention. That's true. She's not giving her full attention. Okay. Anybody else? Emotions come up that may not be in the past. Okay. Her emotions are affecting her. She has a short fuse, may not be able to give reassurance that they're looking for. That's definitely true. She seems to be, in my opinion, very hot and cold with her clients. There's no reassurance. They have it one minute and then they don't have it the next. And it seems to be relative to what she's experiencing personally. So her clients are upset with her. Okay, because I work for some of her clients and I work with all of them as a whole. We work through these situations. Okay, but her clients are upset that she's not there. She's not steady. They're not sure she's going to be there and be there for her. It's tough for her to give equally to her work and her family. She feels failure on both sides, family and her firm. That's true. Getting pressure from their partners to perform. Yep, that's it. From their other partners to perform. She's getting it from all sides. So she has 3 kids, okay, and she has the clients and everything. She's getting it from all sides, and the uncertainty is hard for her. Now, I always add a little complexity here. Meet Dan, her husband, and this is true. He just started a new home remodeling business in February 2020. He spends 60 hours away from home. Now, you add COVID and the kids are homeschooling. How does she do that? The pressure, and there's daily work and home conflict. So this is going to affect him as well. Can you see how this all affects, like the personal life affects the work life? You guys see that? Okay. Now I'm going to give you the interventions for what to do. Here's what we have to do. And these are, do they have a nanny? They do not have a nanny. They need a nanny. Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Sounds like give up all work and homeschooling and go to chocolate and wine. Yeah, this is good. Yes, yeah. So this is not atypical for somebody right now during COVID. Okay. I would say take your kids to private school where they actually can go to school, because the public schools are not in school. I mean, they're all homeschooling. And it's tough. Yeah, we have 5 kids and it's tough. It is really tough because now everybody's schedules have to reassess. Now, here are some scientifically validated interventions for this. And I'm going to give these to you, and then we will also review. Okay. It's absolutely imperative to decrease stress. Okay. And I'm going to tell you that I've worked for 20 years in stress, okay, with thought leaders around the world. The very first thing and how you do this is slow down. I didn't capitalize this, but slowing down is how you do this. Slow down and do less. The second thing I want to teach you how to do is focus inward, and I'm going to tell you what that means. When I say focus inward, stress comes from wanting something externally to be different. Something that you want to be different than it is. If you focus inward on how you feel, just allow your tummy to feel how it feels, allow your shoulders to feel how they feel, and then allow your breath to come in and out. Just focus inward. When you're focusing on feeling in your body, it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, I see take more naps, but naps might do this. They may or may not help, and I'll tell you why in a second, Linda. When you focus inward on feeling, okay, your brain triggers the relaxation response. It's not figuring out, it's not needing for something to be different than it is. So if you focus on feeling, you can't focus on thinking. Thinking and feeling they can't happen at the same time. So slowing down and doing less and focusing inward on feeling, if you stop trying to make something different, just stop trying. It's a human thing that we need to do more often, is stop trying and just start to relax the body. And see, most of what I'm trying to tell you here is get into the body, okay? Naps could help or maybe not help. If there is any insomnia going on, naps will actually make the insomnia worse. So that's a complex answer there. Naps are good if they're 15 to 20 minutes or less, okay? Anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes is optimal. Otherwise, it will affect your sleep at night. Another one, resolve ambiguity into probability. So when there's uncertainty, we need to create a probability statement around this. So we want to estimate the chances for success. And this is a real thing. This is making your brain work. The thinking mind, or the prefrontal cortex, is going to start to engage. It actually changed your brain set from worry, okay, or that cortisol response, to what can I do? What's the chance this is going to work out? Okay, this really helps get you restore that energy and that life force vitality that you had. There is a really amazing book by a friend of mine. Her name is Shelley Carson. It's called Your Creative Brain, and it talks about the 7 different brain sets. Okay, and this is how to resolve ambiguity into probability. And there are all kinds of exercises in this book, or if you email me, I can give you some of them on how to do this and how to rewire your brain in this area. Okay. Yoga and meditation I like, and define, what would you like me to define, Gary? Can you ask? The next thing is reframe role definition. So both at work and at home, okay, so that you could transfer this word from boss to spouse, have your boss or your spouse reframe what your role is more overtly. And then it increases clarity and it increases energy. This will stimulate the dopamine that I can do it. But if you don't have your role defined very overtly, okay, your brain doesn't know the chance of success. So this is something that really helps. Okay, estimate success. Yeah. So we want to estimate what we want to actually define what success looks like. And when I'm coaching people, I do a lot of this. We always tell them I always ask, what does success look like to you? So we can define it. So when we know when we achieved it. Okay. Positive thinking is hard to get to sometimes when we're in this level or this length of uncertainty. But I definitely do bring it in the possibility mindset. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to feed risks and rewards. And what I mean by this is I want you to overtly list risks and rewards, like make an actual list. Because then your brain can get around, and now you're both in the thinking brain and not in the worrying brain or the emotional brain. You're going to go, well, the risks are this and the rewards are this, and you can now assess a probability. So now you're outside of that uncertainty. So you're reducing it. Another thing you can do is get an outside perspective, find somebody less immediately involved and get their real perspective, whether that's a coach or a friend that's going to give you honest feedback. Okay. Now I want you to understand that feeding risks and rewards, it may lead to a premature action because this is something you want to do lightly, because the risks could be, it depends on the situation. The risks could be so great that it might induce an action that might be premature. So it depends how intense the situation is if you want to do this step or not. Okay, but at work, it's okay because it's more of a work situation and you're going to have a lot of people assessing the different risks and rewards. At home, though, it may lead to premature action depending on the intensity of the situation that you're in. Okay, help the brain navigate and plan. And how I want you to do this is don't use abstract words. Use concrete references and images and use a timeline. So I have a picture of a timeline or a little storyboard here. Use concrete references, dates, what it's going to look like, what's an image of what success looks like, and give it a timeline. This is going to help you take control of this uncertainty, and you're going to see right through it. If you do these things regularly, you won't feel the same as you do right now, you know? Another thing, the last tool here is language. Using clear words, like word choice is critical. So be careful with your word choice. Move from more of a corporate, or I would call that a transactional, to an intentional, what you intend to do, and an authentic, honest way of talking. So if you're a boss or a team lead, you definitely want to put your intentions behind your words and your honesty behind them. If you're a boss, a team lead, even anybody on a team, when you do this, it comes across to everybody else and their mirror circuitry will be actually wired to what you're doing, okay? This will be the stronger mirror circuitry of the two. Somebody who is under stress or anxiety will be less powerful than somebody who's doing this. Okay, now we're gonna take a couple minutes on the possibility mindset, and the case study is you, okay? So I want you to put yourself in here. As a coach, I like to use you in this. Now, you're gonna get these slides, and I also have tomorrow after I upload the recording to YouTube, I'm gonna send you also a worksheet that has this on it, okay? And so the 4 steps to a possibility mindset. The first one is identify or write out 3 blocks, 3 things that are blocking you, okay? Discuss it with a coach or get some feedback on it. It's really good to talk to somebody about it, because if you're in your head, you're repeating those thoughts every day. So maybe you can journal it out or discuss it with somebody, okay? And make a plan of how you're gonna overcome those 3 blocks. That's number 1. Number 2 is look at your identity. Define who you are, okay? The good, bad, and the ugly. So what this looks like is what has meaning and purpose to you, what are your pain points, and what is your lifestyle? And as a coach, I help people work through this. So define who you are, what has meaning and purpose, what are some of your pain points, and what is the lifestyle that you want or are living. So you're defining who you are. Next, you're gonna overtly define who you are in the future. And I want this to be in high definition. I want you to write out or talk with a coach or something who you are in the future. And I want you to really define that. And once you're in that, when you're in that state of mind, how does your sense of possibility change your identity? That's the second question to creating this possibility mindset. When you're in that sense of possibility, how does it change who you are from this identity, the previous question? Now, habit change. There are a lot of statistics on habits, but one of them is 97% of diets will fail. Okay. So it's why they fail is because most times people don't look at the obstacles they need to overcome. So if you need to get a coach to help with accountability, or a friend or somebody who's going to give you honest feedback and help you really feel committed, this is the time you want to do it. Because right now, certain people who are in integrity are going to actually see really huge success in their careers, and certain people will see more stagnance. But there's a time right now when all this energy, we can harness this energy and create this possibility mindset and create something out of it. This is what I do for a living. Okay. This is who I am and what I've done with my own life. So if you get a coach, get somebody that can help with accountability, give you honest feedback on these other two things, and help you commit to these choices. This is how you create a possibility mindset and keep it. The one thing is you want to be able to imagine it, but the second thing is you have to keep it on a day-to-day basis. And that's how you're going to create this change. Okay. Here is the review. Okay. The review, these are things to remember. And I type these in a different way. Number one, agility, or your ability to adapt, is compromised when you're overstretched or stressed. Just know that. Your agility or adaptability is compromised when you're overstretched or stressed. Number two, we need relevant feedback to develop ourselves. Our brain is not going to give us relevant feedback. It's always going to tell us what we want to hear. It's going to tell us more negative than positive. Okay, so we need somebody to give us really relative feedback if you want to develop yourself. Number three, an infinite mind is created through imagination. When we were young, we used to use our imagination, but now it's a big part of the brain that we don't use at all. So we need to start to sit and take some time to imagine, whether that's on a walk, whether it's journaling, whatever it is, but we need to, in order to get to an infinite mind, the only way is through imagination. Okay. How do you think Steve Jobs came up with the iPad or the iPhone? The iPad I thought was ridiculous a long time ago. Now I have 3 of them, or I have owned 3 in my life. Okay. So success is a state of mind. I want you to know that it's a state of mind, and it's something that you need to work on to keep. So if you want to change and be more successful, which is what I do as a coach, help people be more successful, we have to achieve a different state of mind, and we have to work towards that. It only takes changing 0.5 to 1% of the mind to actually make huge differences in your success. So you're not looking for huge changes here. Now, this is a big one, and I love to go over this very carefully. Number 5, the whole body has to be in. This is an entire body experience. It's not in your brain, it's your whole body, your gut, your heart, and your head. Your whole body has to be in. And 100% in is not 99% in. You need to be 100% in. If you're 99% in, that 1% will grow, and it will overcome, okay? Because it's the norm. It's how the body is wired. So the whole body has to be in, and it means 100% in, not 99. Now there's something that we call in neuroscience called existential confidence, and it's a building block. And that is believing in that future. The existential. You have confidence in that existential reality. That's a building block to this. Now, what would you change if you were all in? If there was something that you were 100% in, 100%, how would your life change? Would it change? When I'm 100% in, my whole life starts to change. Okay, so if there's something, if you were 100% in, what would change? Anybody want to type an answer? What would change if you were 100% in? You'd have more energy. Well, there's big ones. How many people want more energy? Boy, I do. Yeah, if you're all in, peacefulness. Everything stems from peacefulness, believe it or not. So Linda, that's very wise. A feeling of satisfaction. If you're 100% in. Now, I worked with the Swami in India for 9 years, more confidence, less doubt. And if you're all into what you're doing, there's never any stress in your life because you're completely into what you're doing. If you're 100% in, you don't want to be somewhere else. Stress comes from being not all in. If you're 100% liking what you're doing, you don't want to be somewhere else. So you do have that peacefulness, that confidence. A lot of us are suffering from lack of this in COVID times. Feedback. Yeah, feedback is something we're suffering from a lot of. And this is something, if you want to have a conversation around this about how to ask for feedback from your boss, please email me, okay? Because feedback is something we all are needing, and the people who are getting relevant feedback are the ones who are growing. You need feedback from somebody else. It's not possible for you to give it to yourself. I just want you to know that. You cannot give yourself feedback. It's not gonna, it won't work. I would not be here if I did not have, if did have 100%. Yeah, so you have to be 100% in. It is powerful. Okay, so that is powerful. Now here's one last thing I want to talk to you about is trust. Now, think about this. Right now, trust is something that we are all seeking. It's something that's missing. The only people that I'm hanging out with are pretty much people that I trust. If there's somebody that I don't trust, then pretty much they're out of the inner circle for me right now in this COVID time. Trust links my values to my outcome, or your values to your outcome, okay? It's crucial to making permanent change. You trusting yourself, your values, trusting in that is crucial to making a permanent change, okay? It's what the basis is. It glues everything together. So you have to start to slow down and feel what you trust and feel what you don't trust. It's a feeling. This is a little note. If the staff doesn't trust a leader, there are holes in the ship. Would you agree? If the staff doesn't trust a leader, there are holes in the ship. Okay, you have to be trusting. Yeah, there's something's going to go awry. It could be a team leader. Now, what about you and the other people on your teams? Studies show that we are now on about 5 teams. Yeah, more authenticity equals more trust. It's more genuine. That's true. And so studies show that everybody who actually goes to work is on a typical, like an average amount of teams is 5. So if you're even on a team, how do your teammates look at you? Do they trust you? Because if they do, it's going to change everything. You're more likely to be a leader and to excel in your career. That creates more success. Just this one word, trust. And right now, it's the pivotal foundation of what we're all looking for, trust. Okay. So I just wanted, a lot of people ask me these questions, so I wanted to offer this as an answer. I get this a lot after each class, so I started to put this in here. Okay. Coaching is a standard. It's really a standard thing for high performers, for emerging leaders, people learning how to be a leader or who want to be a leader, and through managing through change. It's a really standard practice, okay? It helps you uncover blind spots. It helps you create a growth mindset of what you could become so that you're different than you're managing now. A lot of the people that I work with who are high-level leaders feel that they're more of a task rabbit and they want to be more strategic. They want to be more authentic. They want to come across as trustworthy, and they want to get the feedback to make sure they're doing that. Some of the people I help develop skills like an emotional intelligence or strategy. Typically, I work with people in a 6-month term, and I'll tell you why. Because when you actually do a 6-month term, you're committed. If I do less than 6-month work with people, people tend to not be committed. And I want to actually see people, the people that I work with, I like to see grow and change, although I'm open to less, but 6 months is typically the term. And there are bi-weekly calls. They're anywhere from 1 to 2 hour bi-weekly calls for a total of 3 to 4 hours a month. We do free assessments, there's something called Feedback 360. We do those. All the feedback is honest and it helps you move forward very quickly. If you Google any of the executive coaching studies, you'll see much more than a 450% ROI over 6 months. People typically get new jobs when they do this. They typically get higher performers. They will be recognized for different things. They get bonuses. And at this point in time, this is the time that you want to do something like this, because if you do it, you're going to stand apart. There are certain people who are on the fence and certain people who are going to be starting to excel through this change. Okay, like it's same as companies. Certain companies will excel and certain companies are falling short right now. So there isn't, what I really want you to do, I just wanted to share this with you, okay, and just to tell you a little bit about what it is if anybody's interested. But the next free class, by the way, they are always the third Tuesday, so share with people, okay? It's September 22nd, and it's from 12:15 to 1, same time frame. Again, sponsored by Microsoft. And if you go to the website and register, this one's called Rethinking Cognitive Bias. By the way, people have told me to not even do this one. This is a class that I'm teaching it's flying off the shelf. I am teaching this all over town, all over the country. And for a lot of different associations, I'm doing a lot of national speaking around this topic of cognitive bias. So this is like a little sneak peek as to what you can do in your company around cognitive bias and what it is. It's not directed at racial injustice. It's directed at leadership and decision-making. And I will just touch very briefly on racial injustice and how this biases in the brain are created and how you rewire them. So please share this with a friend. This next talk, Rethinking Cognitive Bias, and please tell me how you feel. Do you like these? Do you like these presentations, anybody? Give me feedback.